Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening to everyone, depending where you are. It might be in the morning, it might be the afternoon, but we're glad to have you on our channel with a very, very special guest and a special friend of mine. I'm going to address him with Dr. Siddiq Ahmed because he's earned that title and he deserves that title. So, Dr. Siddiq, thank you for coming this evening. I know you're very busy. Thank you for coming on our channel.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you, Jazakallah khair, and Dr. Haroon for your kind invitation.
You're welcome. You're always welcome. So I'm just going to introduce who you are for our viewers, just very, very briefly. I mean, I could talk for hours about you, but I'm going to try and keep it as brief and succinct as possible. So you're a research fellow at the University of Wales, Trinity St. David. Is that correct? Have I got that correct?
Yes, up until very recently, I'm still working with the University of Wales and University of Edinburgh as a visiting scholar, and just wrapping up the recent research, which we're going to speak about.
Brilliant. And you've been a research assistant at the University of Oxford. You've been a lecturer in contemporary Islamic studies, religious studies. You've done a lot of work with Muslims in Britain, Muslim youth work. You've been at the University of Liverpool, Hope, and Chester as well. So, and of course, your work. I've read your work. I've enjoyed. I've benefited from your work. I've cited your work. Your interests include British Muslims, Islam in America and Europe, Islamic activism, religious radicalization, interfaith relations, religion and public policy. And you've written obviously widely on Islam in Britain, Muslim young youth or young people, and global variants of Islamic religious revivalism. And later on, I'll share in the description for our viewers the publications that you've written or you've been involved with as well. So that would be important. But I really want to focus on three topics and for our viewers today. And one of them is this very important piece of research, the Digital Islam Research Project and the findings of it. We'll share the link to it for our viewers in a second. Can you introduce the project, why it came about, what happened, and what you found out?
Sure. So, alhamdulillah, been fortunate to be working in the field of Islam in Britain for a number of years now, and with many talented academics like yourself, Haroon. And we have, I mean, the British Muslim experience is quite multidimensional, as you know, and it was really trying to identify, I think, one of the most dynamic and impactful phenomena in our world today is the technologies, digital technologies, and that's in the way that is reshaping the world as we know it. I mean, it is very much live and unfolding as we speak, and things are moving so fast. And for us as Muslims, it's really important to understand what's going on because we're not immune from all of these changes. And so it was really my colleague, Professor Gary Bunt, who was or is based at the University of Wales. He was for many years at the University of Lampeter, and he is, widely regarded as a pioneer of the study of Islam online. Some of you may know he's written a number of publications. He's mapping different aspects of what he calls cyber Islamic environments. So he essentially invited a few of us a few years ago, really, to work on trying to do this piece of research, which was very focused on Islam in Britain. And so it was funded by the ESRC, and it involves the University of Wales, University of Coventry, and University of Edinburgh. And there's a total, I think, it's about 6-7 of us working on it, along with some of you viewers might know Professor Saria, Shuru contractor. Then we have also Dr. Khadija Al-Shayal. Then we also have Professor Frederick Volpe and Dr. Olamgir Ahmed, who's actually a Welsh Muslim as well. So essentially what we're trying to do, was understand the digital landscape in the UK in terms of content production, content generation, and consumption, and how Muslims, or how British Muslims, were impacted by this global phenomena, this reality of digital connectivity, and what are the consequences of this in our daily lives, in the way we use these technologies, but specifically, what are the repercussions in relation to how we relate to Islam, how we understand Islam, how we practice Islam, our relationship with the religious knowledge, religious authority, specifically the ulama, and our Islamic intellectual heritage, and how it is essentially changing. Notions and the kind of understandings of authority are changing quite rapidly, and we'll get into that. And then there's also the issue of political agency, how Muslims are using or have been using the internet, how that's changed the way we do Islamic work, Islamic activism, and so on. And then the third domain that we were analyzing was gender relationships, and how the use of the internet is gendered, in the sense of how Muslim men and women use it slightly differently, and why, and what are the consequences. So those are the three areas that we mapped over a period of 3 years by analyzing. We used 5 main methodologies. We analyzed several hundred, nearly close to about 500, I think, Islamic websites, masjid websites, Islamic organizations, lifestyle scholars, fatwa councils, etc., various, all types of, across the spectrum, different denominations, and so on. We analyzed, and then we also produced archives, live archives that can be seen now, actually. We've kind of interpreted what these different websites are doing, what are the organizations trying to achieve, and how they're being used, who's using them. We interviewed several people who were leadership positions in Islamic organizations. We also interviewed so-called influencers. We interviewed groups of Muslims with focus group meetings. We also did digital diaries as well. So the combination of those different data gathering tools has given us a very large data set, which we have processed, and we've started already releasing snapshot findings on our website, which anybody can go and check right now if you want to, Digital Islam in Britain. And there's several archives that have been interpreted thematically. There are specific articles around, say, lifestyle, sports, Muslims, British Muslims and sports, British Muslims and education, seminaries, etc. And so it's quite a very rich pool of information which people can read at the moment. And now we're in the final stages of working towards a publication. The first volume we're hoping will be out next year. So that's an overview, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So our viewers, I'm guessing, will be very interested in sort of some of the findings some of the things that you found. So what are some of the key things that you think are important for our viewers to maybe hear about in terms of the findings?
Yeah. So I think a lot of viewers will be, especially, I'm guessing your viewers will be quite digitally literate anyway. We all are forced to be, I guess, to the extent, it's been an inescapable part of our lives over the last 20-25 years. All of us have to use the internet. We're all using certain platforms in our daily lives, where everybody's emailing and using WhatsApp and Facebook and the likes. And that in itself is indicative of the way in which our lives have changed over the last 25 years. Because before that, our modes of communication were pre-digital. It was the analog. And I don't know what your demographic of your viewers are, but I think you're old enough to remember the time where we didn't have iPhones.
No, we didn't have internet. There was no internet. I'm old enough to remember there was I remember a time when it was dial-up. You had to literally, you could hear the dialing happening. I remember that.
Yes, right. We had to, guess what? We had to actually, we had to travel, and we had to speak to people face to face.
That's
We
right.
used to phone each other, not necessarily text.
Write letters. We should write letters
We
to
had to
each
go to
other.
libraries and do our research physically.
That's
And
right.
so that's something that's it's a given. But I guess if you've grown up, if you're a digital native, you won't necessarily realize the massive change this access to digital connectivity has done, and the implications thereof. So some of the things I think I'll just focus in on digital, the digital authority issue, the changing nature of religious authority. So I think Haroon, yourself, I mean, you're an example of somebody who's, mashallah, been very in tune with these changes. But one of the things that we found is a lot of the traditional ulama class, the scholarly class, are either unaware or reluctant to take full advantage of the opportunities in the digital space, not only in terms of specific tools, but also modes and means of transmission of their knowledge, and in particular, engaging with people on social media. So this is one of the most, I think, important findings, is that, and it has implications for our Islamic institutions of higher learning, for the ulama class in general, is who are their audiences. So clearly, we know that their traditional madaris structures, institutions of higher learning are still there. Obviously, fatwa councils, sharia councils, etc. People are still studying, going abroad to study in Al-Azhar and whatnot. But increasingly, we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, more and more people studying here in the UK. And, that whole shifting transition between going to the Muslim world, coming back here, and then serving communities here, the environment, the ecology has changed. British society has changed. The Muslim world has changed. Our traditional centers of learning have changed. And all of this has been impacted by the digital tools that we're using. And so what we found, certainly amongst British Muslim scholars and the scholarly classes, a lot of them are actually very behind, very unaware of the opportunities. And they, in a sense, some of them have said they're actually put off.
Yeah.
They're actually discouraged. They are, not necessarily interested in the way knowledge is being sought. So back in the day, if we wanted to go and find out a particular ruling, if something was halal or haram, or if we wanted to just pursue, we would either go to our local imam if we had the confidence in them, or seek out some local institution of higher learning. We'll go to a friend, maybe who's a scholar, or etc. Now, most of that, not all of it clearly, but most of that's taking place electronically. So if you remember back in the 2000s, with this new change, shifting access, people used to go to online websites like Islam Online or Islam Q&A, or the various the fatwa bodies were starting to have an online presence. So rather than go physically, people were going online, and that resulted in the phenomena of shopping for fatwas. And that in itself had implications, and there's a general kind of dilution of the whole process, the reasoning process, and the intent of how people sought their knowledge in Islam. And that, if you think about it, that's quite it's a double-edged sword, because one, you could say that it gave people easy access to Islamic knowledge, but on the other side, you bypass the traditional routes that we are normally used to, the kind of verification processes, the idea of building a relationship with a scholar, trust, and doing things in a way that was in our kind of tradition. And it's caused a bit of a chaos, really. It's caused a bit of a, to put it mildly, it's a free-for-all now, because anybody can set up any institute, and they can claim Islamic learning credentials, and you can develop an audience. And I mean, the real problem now, I think this is one of the things that we found is and there's a lot of anxiety around the social media space and platforms such as YouTube, uh, allowing people to essentially say what they want and speak on Islam with having no kind of accountability, but then having a massive impact. So that, I think, is something that the scholars that we've spoken to and a lot of people in Islamic leadership positions are very troubled by, the way that legitimate, credentialed, experienced scholars who have demonstrated that they've paid their dues, essentially, people who have spent many years seeking knowledge and have learned the adab of knowledge and the etiquette and all of that, are not necessarily, with an audience. They're not taking. They're not. They don't. People don't access them. People are not interested because the way people communicate Islam now, particularly online, it's become almost. It's become entertainment.
Yeah.
It's about controversy. It's about trying to appeal to the audience, and it's a race to the bottom where people use clickbait titles in their videos that they upload. People want to deliberately create drama and controversy, so you will go and view their content and like and subscribe. So that's where I think a lot of the traditional scholars that we've spoken to are very troubled, because either they're thinking, well, look, we're not this is not us. This is not how traditionally Islam was communicated. This is not befitting scholars. Okay, the ulama don't do this, and so some scholars have basically felt that, look, it's below us. We're not going to engage with people like that. We already teach, we teach spread knowledge in the university, in the madrasa, in the Darul Uloom. We're reaching an audience. We don't need to go online. We write books. This is frivolous. This is something, we don't have time for.
Yeah.
And that is a very reasonable. That is a reasonable position. It's understandable. However, this is the last thing I'll say on this, is that our demographic as an ummah is largely young people. It's between 60 to 70% all over the world. In Muslim countries, it's even some countries even higher. And majority of our young people are switched online. And if they want to learn about Islam, they are not going to go to their local masjid necessarily, or their local scholar. They will go online, and whoever they find online with the loudest voice or the most appealing persona, they're going to start following that individual, whether that person has legitimate qualifications or has knowledge or expertise, and this is what's happening. So there's a overall what we're finding is there's a real huge a transition and a belittling of legitimate religious authority, and that has implications for all of us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I've always, I go on the internet every now and then just to have a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think I agree with you. Just anecdotally, there's a lot of ugly Islam in these spaces, and I might not get many followers, which I'm not really interested in per se. But you want to present sort of knowledge in sort of aesthetically appealing way, but also stay away from all the sort of clickbait sort of content that's out there. But yeah, there is a challenge in terms of reaching out to the younger community. One thing I will say is, did you look at? I mean, you probably didn't, but did you look at in our Imams project, as you know, the Imams research that I've been doing, my colleagues at Cardiff Islam UK Centre, some Imams did talk about how they consciously avoid social media because it just creates more work for them. It can sometimes, it just becomes overburdensome because they've already got a lot of work on their plate. Did you look into that a little bit, or did you not get time to look into that?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the I think genuine frustrations and concerns, is that a lot of Imams, whether at the level of the local mosque or more senior scholars, they just don't have the time, because I think, as you know, preparing and engaging creating an online persona is time consuming, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's time consuming, and especially when you see the craziness, of so much craziness just in the Muslim space online, it's very off-putting. It's
Yes.
very off-putting, and so I can understand those anxieties and putting people off. But I think what there needs to be some kind of uh, acceptance that this is just going to increase, and it's the way the world is going, and especially with the newer technologies that come. And I mean, it's without taking too much time, it's a horse that's bolted, and we Muslims, we like any technology, we have to understand it and utilize it positively and be aware of the negativity, because we can't ignore it,
That's right.
especially the internet. And so the thing is, being an online imam, being digitally literate, being tuned into these matters, it's not for everybody. And we understand, but I think what Islamic organizations and institutions need to do is to identify people, and as a community, we need to push people who have that time, who do have the inclination and the interest, to engage in the space. Because if we don't, and this is a real danger, you have more and more people who shouldn't be there holding the mic in front of the camera, and unfortunately they are literally leading people astray into all sorts of dead ends. And more seriously, they are causing fitna. They are creating problems for our young people. They are who are looking for authentic answers to their problems as well. And I mean, it's one of those things around specialization. It's not for everybody, but certainly more. In every Muslim community, you should have people who are qualified, and it's not just you have to be a traditional alim or alima. You have to have what we're lacking at the moment. There aren't enough people who have the professional expertise to talk about the issues at hand. So it's not necessarily about Islam or the Quran and the Hadith. It's about how we apply our Islam. How do we deal with our difficult social problems? How do we deal problems of young people, or challenges facing Muslim women, or how do you engage with non-Muslim society? I mean, how do we respond to the very, very volatile political situation? Do you know what I mean? So this is where you need a group of scholars, both a mixture of Islamic scholars, religious scholars, and experts from different fields engaging these issues. And that is a challenge and opportunity which I think we can respond to.
Brilliant, thank you. Just in the interest of time, I just want to add, I'm trying to respond to some of that need where I can. I will say that it's very, very time consuming, and it takes a lot of energy out of you. But I'm fortunate. I have a good team of people around me who support the work that I do. So I'm genuinely thankful and grateful to them. I want to move on to something that's we're working on, inshallah ta'ala, but you're the leader on, if you like, which is this course, this Islamic leadership course. I'm obviously a guest lecturer on it. I've just put a link there for everyone. This is an output, I guess, of the research that you've been doing, but it's also output of other researchers, in the sense that we've been having these conversations about leadership and research. But I think what's different about this one, if I may add, is that a lot of times we do courses based on what we feel we need. But this is actually based on research. And I think the reason I mentioned this is a lot of times people ask me about, what needs funding, what needs researching. I'm like, okay, well, first we need to ask us a question. What are the problems out there? And have we actually done research on this? So can you talk about this really important course, which I think begins in just under a month at the end of September?
Yes, so thank you. I mean, this course is a pilot where what we're trying to do with it's a very focused 8-week program, both online and in person, in partnership with Ibrahim College in London. And it's really, in a sense, hoping to attract younger scholars or those who are involved in Islamic work at a more senior level, who are looking to respond to the difficult challenges around them, and especially alims and alimas who are maybe newly graduate from Darul Ulooms or Islamic universities, who want to serve their community but not necessarily equipped. And this is a thing, as you can study 5, 6, 7 years and have a very strong grasp of the Islamic sciences, but then you enter a community, you might become an imam, you might become a teacher, and then you're like, wow, we weren't trained for this. So it can be like almost like being thrown in the deep end when you actually have to work and serve in a community which has many complex problems. And remember, we're living in a non-Muslim society, so you can't necessarily expect that imam or alima to have the knowledge and the tools to be able to understand what's going on, let alone respond. And so there are many issues. And what we've done with this course is just pick up perhaps some of the most key issues that would be helpful to equip intellectually, and also some of the practical knowledge as well of serving those communities, and hopefully inspire people to go on to further study. And maybe some people might want to go into chaplaincy, Muslim chaplaincy, or they might want to go and train further and actually specialize in a field. They might want to become youth workers. They might want to go into social work, etc. There are career opportunities, and I think again is another separate but connected conversation around employability. What do you do after you graduate with your Islamic studies? So what we want to do is be almost like a bridge, a short stepping stone. This course hopefully will whet people's appetite and give them sufficient knowledge to go and serve their communities better, but maybe build on it and do further studies.
Excellent. And I've got a practical question, which I've been asked before, which I will just ask you now. This course is on-site and off-site. Can you just talk about the mechanics a little bit, just for our viewers?
Sure. So it's 8 weeks, and there will be 4 of those weeks, or if you like, so the first session will be in person in London, in Ibrahim College. Thereafter, there will be some sessions that will be online and some sessions that will be in person. There will be in total 4 in-person sessions in London, Ibrahim College. But at the same time, people who can't travel, maybe they're at the other end of the country, or they may be even outside of the UK, every single session will be streamed live and they will be able to participate online.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm just going to whet my appetite, if you don't mind. You have one course or one of the sessions is on how the legal system works, and I think this is quite pertinent with what's happening globally and locally at the moment. And people sometimes, I've had conversations with people who are scared to speak about certain issues, Palestine and so forth, because they might think that it might impact them negatively. Can you talk about that particular one, or do you want to leave that for a particular speaker then?
Yeah, I mean, so as I say, it covers some of the. We want to introduce topic areas. I mean, each session is 6 hours on a particular range of topics that are under the theme. So, for example, the legal systems, political systems is one session for one day, and what we want to do is introduce people to the main concepts, ideas, and frameworks. Law is a complex area, and what we want to do is just provide people with an overview and enough resources that they can then do more independent learning and study on their own. And remember, because it's only the taught time of the course is only 48 hours spread over the. We can only do so much, and some are very specialized areas. Hence, we're inviting experts like yourself to address specific topics based on your expertise and experience. So, the great work that you've done with your colleagues Riaz and others on the Imams project, you've got cutting edge research, so you are the best person to be speaking about that. Similarly, we've got Ustada Saleh Bukhari, who is also a graduate of Ibrahim College, and she's specialized in Muslim chaplaincy. She'll be speaking to that topic and what the practical realities are of working in Muslim communities, working with an institution, and all of that. So, this, like I said, this course is the first. It's a pilot, and inshallah, what we hope is to continue to expand it and grow and develop it more. So we will have more and more experts speaking to specific topics. But what we're trying to do is just provide people a good overview of the different areas. So whether it's law, the British law, the political system, understanding something of the recent social history, understanding what the challenges are, the many layers of challenges facing British Muslim communities. I mean, these are really critical issues which people are not going to be prepared for if they've gone through traditional Islamic learning, and you can't expect them to have that knowledge unless those Islamic institutes themselves integrate those topics into their curriculum, and that's another subject. I mean, and perhaps for another day.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, the reason I think this, I mean, I've just looked at the course already, but and I've shared a link for our viewers so they can access the course. I would definitely recommend signing up. Or if people know someone who is becoming an imam or is working in chaplaincy, this course is really ideal for them. And they can reach out to us. I mean, we're both very approachable. We're happy to work out how we can help you. And I mean, I get a lot of scholars, graduates, reaching out to me regularly about social media and how to set things up, and it's quite difficult sometimes. It can become quite overwhelming. Will the course be looking at? I mean, you talk about social media engagement, but you've also interestingly talked about public speaking and these sort of things, which are quite important actually, because a lot of young graduates, again, they've got a knowledge, they've got a theological knowledge, but they often struggle to communicate that to different audiences. And as you know, in our tradition, you're supposed to speak to people according to their intellect or to their capabilities. Can you speak to that a little bit for us in terms of preparing speeches?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. So you're right. We again, have to put that disclaimer in. Our course it has its limitations. It's only 8 weeks, and we have only so much teaching time. But what we really hope that people benefit from all the kind of introduction and foundational information that they will be able to take away from attending the course. Every single topic area in itself, there are specialized degree level. You can spend years and years studying each topic, obviously. But yeah, I mean, what we try to do is pick topics that will be of practical relevance and benefit. And with the communication, public speaking, and say, for example, using those kind of communication skills, applying to, preparing khutbahs, things like that, we hope that will be useful to people. And certainly the sessions will be packed with a lot of resources which people can take away, further studies, there's things that they can read, things that they can watch. We will provide case studies, and I think, as you know, and anybody who's studied at a higher level, the role of the educator, the lecturer, the ustada, is to introduce the subject area, and then provide the student with enough of a framework and the tools for the student then to go and do the learning on their own. So there is going to be I think the expectation is to go and do the reading, go and think about these things, question, try to apply it, because it's all about application. That's the important thing that we're trying to say, is that, look, people who are coming on this course already they have a certain amount of knowledge. They have a good deep understanding of Islam in theory. The challenge is putting it into practice. I think, as you said as well, it's helping people, giving them an introduction to the practicalities of applying Islam in Britain within Muslim communities, and being able to relate to our non-Muslim neighbors, colleagues, and wider society.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I have one of my favorite ones, which I'm still learning about, and I'm going to bring in that one, which is on week 8. You have a session on digital tools and online da'wah, social media literacy, online ethics, which you talked about, but I think that's a really big one, because a lot of people are scared to even go onto these platforms because they just find it overwhelming. Can you give us a sense of what that might entail for our viewers?
Yeah, so this is actually quite a new and emerging area when we talk about what does online ethics mean, conceptually and practically. Again, is there any kind of agreement? Is there any kind of scholarly consensus of what that is even? And I mean, what we will do with that session is to present some of the latest thinking both from academic and religious scholars who have deliberated on this matter, and it is very much a current issue. I think some of our friends and colleagues are writing about this. It's very much a live subject, and how do we? Is it even possible? And to talk about an agreed mode of engagement and practice when we are speaking to people online. I mean, this podcast, for example, this is a way of communicating knowledge, engaging with an audience, engaging with your peers. Has anybody written anything about this? Is there anything that any scholar or any, it's probably unlikely, and I'm happy to be corrected by you, Haroon. I mean, have our traditional ulama, or maybe, when I say traditionally trained ulama, modern scholars, talked about this? Have they written anything about this? This is what we want to question, and I will, present what I've been able to find out myself and what other colleagues have produced on this, because it's a live debate. We've mentioned the fact that there is a significant number of traditionally trained Islamic scholars who don't have the time or not even interested. And is that given the scale of the challenges that we have now, and it's almost a paradox. We have access to so much information today. We're overloaded, aren't we? And something it puzzled me. We have so many places to learn about Islam, but our actual practice of Islam, our religiosity, our piety, is it correlating with the availability of information? That's the question.
It's a brilliant question. I mean, it's a timeless question.
If we really think about it, if anything, I mean, my own observations is actually, no, the opposite is true. When you actually look at people's practice of Islam, and you can do it in a quantitative way, whether it's praying, whether it's going to the masjid, it's getting involved in this, in many ways, in supporting Islamic work and so on. And so there are different criteria we can use. And then just generally, we're actually, despite this overabundance of information and scholarship and ways of learning Islam, we are becoming less Islamic. And that's maybe controversial to some people, but there is a real issue, because in our day-to-day practice, there are some very severe problems around our personal ethics, certainly our morality. There are many issues. We're not doing Islam. We might know Islam, but are we doing it?
Good questions. And this is something, but by the way, this is something that I have to grapple with, because I'm on the online space, but I'm also on the offline space, which is in spaces like mosques and communities. And it's a different world. Those are different worlds, and different skill sets are required. I would say this: it's a different skill set in terms of being in a mosque community and being on a social media community. And you have a huge responsibility. Personally, myself, the way I carry myself, there's a big responsibility in terms of what I behave, what I engage with. There's always a temptation to comment on some nonsense that's been, on social media, but I'm like, I'm not going to get involved in all of that, So there's a lot to learn. But this course, it's available. I've shared the link for everybody. I do highly recommend it. We have, you can join online, of course, and you can join on site if you're in London, and you can see everything that's there for you. Do you want to add anything else before we move on?
No, I mean, thank you very much, Haroon. Yeah, I mean, we hope people are interested, and certainly, like I said, it's the first of many, and we welcome feedback and ways to make it better. We're hoping that students that come benefit, and inshallah, maybe suggest other topics, because there is so much to learn and so much to reflect on and apply, because from our perspective, those of us who've organized this, we're really concerned about the increasing kind of frustration and sense of like, what do we do next? How are we going to do? We have so many things going on in our communities, just locally, right? We've got so many things going on nationally, and then we've got the wider world, and sometimes it's like, so many people in leadership that I speak to are really struggling. Like, where do we start? What can we do? Where can I have an impact? And those are the kind of conversations I think we need to continue to have. And what we need to do is to bring our most capable minds, our male and female religious scholars, in conversation with other scholars of different knowledge domains, and that's where we can figure these things out. And I think that's the connectivity opportunity which the digital spaces provide, and I think that's something we haven't taken advantage of so much. So to bring the people who are experts in different areas to let's work on these things. And this course and courses like this is an opportunity to get to know one another, hopefully network and maybe form new partnerships and relationships where we can actually tackle our problems on the grassroots.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and I look forward to being on a course with you, and I look forward to seeing a lot of our viewers joining that course as well. Okay, we're moving on to the second of one of the outputs of your finding. This is the one I know very little about, so I'm going to be very, very super interested in it. This is to do with AI, our friend AI, who's on the scene now. Very, 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 very important and controversial as well at the same time. And so AI training for Muslim communities. I'm going to share a link. It's called Kaaba UK here. So you can click on that. I mean, as soon as I clicked on the link, I was like, "Wow, what's this?" So I was going to close it because I was like, "This is quite intense," because it's a really good website, actually. Can you talk about why this came about and what you're intending to do with it? This is going to be really important, I think, for Muslim. You call it for Muslim communities as well. So
Yeah.
can you tell about who it's for and why it's important for them?
Sure. So this project was it was something in the pipeline. While I've been working on the Digital Islam project, and I must say again, as a disclaimer, if my colleagues in the project are tuning in, they aren't. We're not claiming these are Digital Islam direct outcomes in any way. These are my personal attempts to address some of the outcomes which we've identified, and though I'm sure my colleagues would agree, and certainly I have the idea of building capacity amongst people who serve Muslim communities. This is what it's about, really. The Imams training course that we've just discussed, that's what it's about. It's about we've identified the challenges, and here's the kinds of things that we need to do to respond to the challenges. This AI platform, the Kaaba.uk platform, is something a colleague of mine, Saifur Rahman, who is a tech wizard, a young brother who's got over 2 decades of experience. He's very, very, very highly qualified tech professional. He and I, we kind of like discussed how can we help our communities deal with the fact that all of these things are happening, and the introduction of, or the filtering down of AI as a technology over the last year or so, year and a half. Everybody's using ChatGPT, or they're using DeepSeek, or whatever, Gemini. These tools are here now, and we're seeing now, in real time. In real time, we are seeing the possibilities and the potential negativities that are coming out. So, for example, our actual usage at the moment of ChatGPT. Let me ask you, Haroon, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What do you use AI for at the moment?
So I have a university version which is quite good. So I use it to write articles. It kind of helps me to write articles, improve them. They are my articles, but I use them to improve them. I also now have been testing translation. So I've been using ChatGPT, the one I've used, the university version, and I put in Arabic text, see if you can translate it and summarize them. I do occasionally search terms or words. So if there's a new idea that I've read or I've heard something, I'll use it. Yeah, it is becoming increasing a part of my life, and we also use it on our YouTube channel as well, in terms of summarizing videos and content as well. But
Sure.
everything needs checking. But the key thing is everything needs checking.
Yeah, and thank you. So your experience is, I think, what most of us at the moment are using the AI tools at the moment. It is a generative kind of like application meaning, you know, we still go to Google. Google might take us to different websites. You know, if we're just doing a general search of information, we'll go to Google, and then Google will list different, you know, hierarchy of it, and we might go and check those websites and so on and so on. Might use Wikipedia. So this is the next level up in terms of people's current usages around information access, being able to gather large quantities of information, and getting the computer, getting the AI to then sift through that and extract the specific information that we're looking for. Most people are using, like you said, to as an assistance tool to do literature searches, to gather information on, you know, XYZ thing. It just saves a lot of time, right? It saves a lot of legwork. It's a great tool for giving you ideas to structure writing, but that's just the tip of the iceberg now. And that's the level that most people are using it. It is just the generative use of it. The agentic use of AI is something that is so rapidly expanding. Most of us, people don't realize, and it is essentially integrated in so many things now, and we will see in the next year or two how AI is going to essentially overtake and replace so many things that we've taken for granted from our everyday lives, to shopping, to our way that institutions are run, the way, you know, the world of work. It's already starting to make people redundant, because you know, you don't need to pay people thousands of pounds to do a job if an AI will do it for you in a few hours, you know. And there are, you know, there are some myths, and there are some kind of like there's some hype around AI as well, exaggerations. I think we need to be aware of it. I think you pointed out the necessity of checking things, because still it is still at a stage where it is prone to certain of it is like, well,
We've just lost you. Hopefully you come back. I've lost you. Hopefully we can have you back. You've frozen, Dr. Sadek. We've just lost you. Hopefully we can have you back soon. I'm just going to put some comment. Oh, here we are. I think you're coming back again.
Right. Sorry for that.
It's all right. We have you back again.
There you go.
I think AI didn't like you talking about it in negative tones.
Right. There you go. This is the thing. It's not some kind of utopia. I think we always have to temper our expectations, and that's really important. And I don't know if you caught this thing about hallucinations. It can make up information. It can, you know, it can be prone to error, and it's in a sense stupid. AI is only as good as the information that it's trained on, right? So that's really important to bear in mind. But it is at exponential speed. It's becoming more and more intelligent, and it's going to get to the point where it will be able to, what they're saying is that it'll be able to think on its own, a reasoning, a certain level of consciousness and ability to think. And some of the claims of some of the, you know, companies are maybe still exaggerated, but it's going like that, and it's quite scary in a way. And many people have talked about, you know, this Terminator scenarios, and that's something that is really something to think about and consider, because AIs are and I think people are aware of the robotic technologies, how rapidly they are developing now, particularly things that are coming out of China. All these things are going to be realities in our everyday lives, and we as Muslims, and hence why we're doing this platform, is to prepare people to use these tools proactively. So to understand them, to use them beyond the level that we're using at the moment, but also to use it in a way which is actually proactive, and potentially we could change the direction of where the technologies are going at the moment, because some of it is going in some quite troubling directions, and I think Muslims need to be present, and that we have many talented tech people already, But this project has this modest kind of aim to raise the general level of digital literacy and AI literacy, particularly in our local communities at the masjid level. Again, training our religious leadership, the ulama, scholars, to be able to make the most out of it, but also our young people, older people, our elders, our parents' generation. There's a lot of opportunities, and it's quite exciting, and I think necessary for us as Muslims to understand how to make the most of this AI technology, and that's really what we're trying to do with it, and inshallah use it in a positive way that we benefit our communities and wider society.
Brilliant, thank you. I have a very direct question. I don't know if you're still there.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. Here's a practical question though. Say there's a mosque committee member. Dr. Sadek, are you there?
Oh, no, it's coming in and out.
Can you hear me?
Haroon?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're there.
Okay, sorry, I don't know if you caught all that. I just
we've got it. We've got that. So I've got a question for you if you can hear me.
Sure.
Say I'm a mosque committee member or I'm a congregant. How will this help me in practical terms?
Sure. Yeah. So it would essentially educate the mosque committee, the imams, around the ways in which AI technology can benefit their institution, their masajid, their madrasa, their darul uloom, whatever it is. It would, because at the moment, you see, I think for those of us who are professionals, certainly younger people, Gen Z, millennials, we've adapted to the technology as it's come out, right?
Yeah.
Whereas our older people are perhaps people who are not interested in these things. Imams, even people who were brought up here, but certainly people who've come overseas, older people, they don't know what this is all about. All they're hearing this word AI. And this is what we're trying to do, is help educate people and take them through a layered progression of understanding of what it is and how it can benefit them, how it can help them in their personal lives, how it can help them order in the same benefits which you've described. It's a time-saving tool, right? When it comes to search and using applications.
Of course.
But we want to educate them at that level. But then in terms of the creative building tools that they can use to make their masjid, to make their Islamic organization better, to help them in their personal life, and hopefully, inspire them maybe, to go out there and use these tools in a really transformative way. And this is what's happening at the moment. You see, I think Haroon, AI is being used in so many ways in every single sector, from the things that we see every day. For example, these crazy videos that are being made now. You're seeing gorillas and Bigfoot, doing wudu, right, in the mountains, to deep fakes of celebrities, saying this, that, and the other, and people who have died long time ago who have been resurrected. I mean, these are just some of the kind of, if you like, entertainment-based ways but AI can be used in much more productive and serious way, beneficial ways, and that's what we're trying to help people learn, inshallah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I mean, it's scary. I mean, I was having a conversation with a mufti, with deep fakes, because people can use that as evidence to accuse to create evidence, to create sort of ways to kind of accuse someone of doing something. And do we need to return back to an older age where it's more about making oath now, because we just can't rely on images anymore, because it'll get so. I mean, at the moment you might be able to work it out as AI generated, but the way it's going, it's going to be very difficult at some point to know if it's real or not.
Exactly, and that's a very good example of which is a common example now, to the point that it will challenge the ways in which the scholars assess and evaluate information and specific cases. I mean, it opens up a whole can of worms, really, and things we haven't even thought of yet. And so even the literature, the scholarly literature on this is just emerging. There's a handful of papers that are only coming out at the moment. I mean, what do we say to Malaysia and the governments of Malaysia and the UAE producing a digital sheikh
Yeah.
who now is there in the public space, who's there to answer your questions on and get Q&A on Islam. I mean, is that acceptable? Is it halal? Is it legitimate what they say? Can they give fatwas? It's raising so many questions now,
Yes.
and we have to be able to understand what's going on, because most of us we're just still trying to understand this, So this is why it's so important. It's part of an educational process, I think, and mutual learning. It's not like we all have all the answers. We want to learn with our communities and bring everybody up, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. I promised that we would try and stick to our time schedule, and I'm a bit of a stickler myself. It's odd because I'm an imam and I have to stick to times, so I'm very punctual. But I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank our viewers for watching. I hope that it's been useful. If anything, number one is obviously check out. We'll wait for the book to be published, but we're really looking forward to that. Very, very important piece of research. Number two is check out, I've sent the link, but check out the link for the course on leadership training. Very, very important. I'm really looking forward to having a session on that. I'll be delivering a session myself on that. And I look forward to all the other sessions. I'm sure I will learn a lot. So if you have a friend, a sister or a brother, or someone who's in a leadership position or doing something that they could benefit from on this course, please get them onto this course. It's accessible online, so if you can't make it in person, you can get there. You can watch it online. And then, of course, AI is an evolving field. Maybe we can have you back again, Dr. Sadek, again to talk about AI and how it's evolving, because it is evolving at a very fast pace. So I just want to thank you. If you want to make any final remarks, anything before we end the session, the floor is yours.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Dr. Haroon, for the opportunity to speak with you and share the information on those 3 projects, and hopefully, inshallah, your viewers may be interested in all of them. And please do, whether you sign up for the course or not, the Digital Islam in Britain website's there. We have lots of articles there you can read and download. And inshallah, we really do hope you do engage, and whatever you decide to do, please do consider the importance of all of us need to educate ourselves more about the society that we live in here. We're here in Britain, and wherever we may be, really, we have to understand the context, the urf, as you say, in the legal terminology. If we want to make our Islam relevant, if we want to serve the people, benefit the people, we need to understand the people. And inshallah, we pray we can do that, inshallah. So thank you again for allowing us to come, inshallah, and we hope we can maybe come back another time.
We'll have you on once the book is out, definitely, because our viewers will be interested. So thank you to everyone, and I will see you all very, very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.